Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tea with Publicity, presented by my favorite tequila hard seltzer, Mamitas. You guys know them. You love them. I drank too many this weekend, which I wouldn't recommend. But Mamitas is a hard seltzer made with real tequila that comes in 4 delicious flavors. You know my favorite's Paloma, with lime coming in a close second. Then we have pineapple and mango. You just need to try it if you haven't already. It will be the drink of the year, and I am hoping to have you guys all try it very, very soon. And if you want to order it at home, you could just go to drinkmamitas.com or order it on GoPuff, which just delivers it straight to your door. And get the variety pack, try it out, let me know which flavor you like, and don't forget to tag me when you are trying it. And yeah, let's get into today's show. Happy Tuesday. I am a little under the weather today because I think I had food poisoning yesterday, which wasn't fun. I started doing a log of every time I got sick. I was sick from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. But around 3, I was like, let me write down every time I get sick. And it was twice an hour. Wasn't feeling so hot, so I'm a little low energy today because I didn't want to have coffee. I didn't want to have anything harsh that would upset my stomach. So I'm just kind of I'm just giving it my all on a 70% functioning body. But we have a lot in store for you guys today. So I have an interview with my friend Rod, who has come on the podcast before, and you guys know how I do Sunday Scandies every Sunday on my Instagram. Well, Rod did something kind of similar where he posted one time, tell me something that's happened to you at work. And all of his followers wrote in, and they wrote crazy things, and we dig into them on the podcast today, and it sparked me to talk about crazy shit that has happened with me over the years. Stories, PR nightmares, things I've never ever shared, that my bosses have done to me, the way they've mistreated me. And I feel like that whole part of my life is so juicy and scandalous, and I really dug into some of it. So we will get into that. And then I did do the Ask Alyssa with Rod, so he will help me answer your advice questions. And then stick around until the end of the episode because today's Spill the Tea segment, there's so much to catch up on. I feel like since the last time I recorded, which has been a week, I have watched so much TV because a lot of the shows that are coming out now that it's the new year are episodical. Is that how you episodical, right? One time a week?
Oh, I have no idea.
I think episodical is what it means. Instead of binging them, it's one a week.
Right.
So I watched Real Housewives of New Jersey one a week. Celebrity Big Brother a few a week. Euphoria one a week. So I've watched so much TV and there's so much to talk about. I do want to get into the Tinder Swindler, which reminds me of that narcissist that was in my life, and Pam and Tommy. Kylie Jenner had her baby. There's just so much. So stick around till the end. Before we jump into any of that, let me catch you guys up on what has gotten me here and why I think I had food poisoning, because it's been a whirlwind. Gia and I are both tired.
Yeah, it's a rough Monday.
I'm struggling.
Yeah.
So we had our company party on last Wednesday, which was really fun. I would say I was a good amount of drunk. I wasn't drunk enough to embarrass myself, but I was drunk enough to have random conversations with people.
Oh, yeah, same. I would say the same.
Yeah, good little mix.
Since it's my first company party, I was like, oh, I'll take it easy,
Yeah.
Whatever. I go to get a drink, and I didn't even know it was open bar, and I was like, oh no,
oh yeah,
here we go. Next thing I know, I'm 7 tequila sodas in,
and we're drinking the good shit too.
Yeah, they were like, what do you want? Casa Azul, whatever. I was like, sure.
Yeah,
if
whatever.
That's what's on the menu, I'm down.
It was so fun. It was at the Jane Hotel. And then I was laughing because Joey's my coworker, if you guys are new here, Joey and I were checking out all the guys in sales because we really only get to sit downstairs with the content people. So when we see the guys in sales or the guys that just work in other departments, it's so fun.
It made me realize how the difference between how many men work here and how many women work here.
Yeah.
I was like, there were so many random men I've never seen in my life.
Amazing for me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like looking around, and Joey and he would be like, Alyssa, look at that guy's ass. Look at that guy's ass. So then like Joey and I would look, and then the guy would turn around, and it would just be the two of us staring. I felt like I was with like my like girlfriend, and we were like tattletaling about boys, and we kept getting caught. And yeah, it was really fun. And then I walked like to this bar for the after party with them, and then I just Irish exited because at that point I was like, I'm so tired. It's been drinking since 6. It's 12. Like, I need to go home. Yeah. So I went home. Thursday, took it easy. Friday, the girls from the office texted me and were like, hey, you want to go out to dinner? So I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, easy, like, little dinner. Meanwhile, 10 hours later, no, we were literally out from, same thing. It was an early reservation, 6:30. I didn't get home until like 1:30. We were out all night. We went to Catch, then we went to Common Ground, and my coworkers are new to New York, so I'm like, I want to bring them to a bar that I know they're going to have fun at. And Common Ground's a little young for me. Like, I would say everyone's 26 and under, but I knew that they would have a great time, and they sure did. And we had so much fun. When I was leaving, oh my God, sorry if you guys keep hearing something. I keep dropping my phone. When we were leaving the bar, well, Irish exited. I didn't even tell them I was leaving because my one friend left, and then I was like, screw this, I'm out. I walk outside the bar, and I fall alone. There's like a ditch and like a divot in the pavement, and I fall, and the bodyguard comes running up to me and like picks me up, and there's a line of people. So I fell in front of a whole group of people, and I was just so embarrassed. So that was Friday. Saturday didn't do much, and then Sunday I had the plague. Like, I was out for the freaking count. Like, oh man, I've been better. But I did have a really interesting conversation with my therapist last week that I wanted to dig into before we dig into today's episode, because I was having a lot of anxiety last week about, I'm trying to think how to word this, just about like female relationships and like industry people. And I feel like, I'm sorry, I'm being really choiceful with how I choose to say these things because I don't want to ever put my foot in my mouth. I was getting a little frustrated, and by a little I mean a lot, last week because I'm like, do I spill the tea? Do I not? A podcast hosts, people, I felt like were taking my ideas and rebranding them as their own. And not just one person, multiple people. Like, now I've seen like 6 or 7 at this point. It's just been crazy. And you guys know, like, I love my Sunday Scandies. I love doing it. I've been super consistent with it. It's something I'm really proud of. And you go through this moral like dilemma when something like this happens, where you're like, as a host with a platform, do you publicly call people out, or do you take the moral high ground and just realize that that's what happens? And I'm sure people have felt like I've copied them, or I've, like, we all feel some type of way. And I was kind of struggling between, what do I want to do? So I had a conversation with my therapist, and I thought that it was really eye-opening. And she, first of all, was like, you're coming from like a very triggered place. And I'm like, yeah, it's just my whole life I've always felt really, really, really misunderstood. Like, people judge me and make assumptions about me before giving me a chance and getting to know me. So I do come from a triggered place when I feel like I'm backed into a corner or I feel misunderstood. And she's like, how do you choose to handle that? And I gave her some examples of my life where I chose to always believe in the truth comes out in the end. Like, that's how I've always kind of lived my life, believing that if you just stick to who you are and you stay within your morals and you stay true to yourself, that in the end, the people who are not being that way, their true colors will come out. And it might not be the easier route because you are, biting your tongue, or it takes time. versus just lashing out and saying what you want to say. But it always feels better for me to like align in my gut that way. So we had this whole conversation about choosing the moral high ground versus being polarizing. And it's really easy to get on a podcast or get on a platform or TikTok and be polarizing. Call people out by names, want to take people down, want to gossip and name people and belittle them. And that gets you clicks and that gets you views and that gets you listens. We've seen it happen with many shows on the internet. The shows that are like that, I believe, though, you gain your followers the same way you lose them. So you will gain a following for being bitchy, but you will lose your following for being bitchy, is how I feel.
Yeah, that's true.
So I've chose always to be like, I'm just going to be true to myself and not call people out and not be that way. And I rather grow and gain loyal followers that know me and know my gut and know that I don't like being mean than gain followers by coming on here and being like, screw this person and screw that person and I hate this person. Because yes, that's salacious and yes, that's juicy and yes, everyone wants to listen to that, but that doesn't make me feel good inside. So I've chosen to take the moral high ground. And the reason I brought this up is because I just think this is something we deal with as like humans on a daily basis, where we're constantly struggling between like the angel on our shoulder and the devil on the other shoulder. It's like, yeah, it feels good to fire off that tweet and bash someone. But then after, when the dust settles, you are like, why did I say that? Why did I do that? Or to send that text to a friend and then you feel guilty afterwards. So I just think this is something that we always kind of struggle with as humans. And I was really faced with it a lot last week in a few different scenarios, really. Just like stuff at work, stuff with life. And like, I just am going to always continue to be myself. And yeah, that's that. I just wanted to talk about that because I just think it's an interesting conversation around choosing the harder route, even if it's not the most rewarding one in the like immediate. It's not the most rewarding in like instant gratification, but it's rewarding in the long run because then people get to know you for you. And so I hope you guys could see that. And I know a lot of you were DMing me being like, who is it? And then also a lot of you are so intuitive and very much like, oh, this person did this person did that. Like, you guys know and you pay attention. So it's really not that big of a deal. Listen, we all get inspiration from each other. And I think I've done it. Like, I've had accounts reach out to me since I started Sunday Scandies being like, hey, I do this and it's called something else. And I'm like, I've never seen your account in my life. So sometimes it's really just coincidence. Like, there's only so many good ideas in the world. We're all going to have overlap and people are going to obviously grab inspiration from one another. We all do it on TikTok, on Instagram, on podcasts, whatever it is. But yeah, I've just kind of landed with the fact that I'm just going to stay true to myself and not be a shit talker. Even
Good
though
for you.
I want to be sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, I'm about to explode because it's hard to always take the high ground. Like, sometimes I think about the old Call Her Daddy episodes when Alex and Sophia would get on and just rip into people. And like, I would sit at home and cringe because I would never do it. But then I also respected how they literally didn't care what people thought of them and they could just say whatever the hell they wanted. Yeah. But I just don't think I could do that because I feel too guilty. Like, I would feel so bad. I don't know. Interesting topic, but yeah, that's that. So let's get into the interview with Rod. If you're new here, you're probably like, what is this girl talking about? So I recommend you check out my Sunday Scandies on Instagram at Publicity. And we're going to talk a lot about work, a lot about things that have happened at work that are uncomfortable and some of the bullshit I've been through. Then we'll get into the Spill the Tea segment. So here is my interview with Rod. All right, guys, I am here with my good friend, Rod. Welcome back, but in person.
Alyssa. Yeah, in person. We only did this virtually
Which is so much better. And that's like when we were strangers still, kind of.
Stranger. We were strangers. There was a time when you and I were strangers.
That's so weird to think.
Yeah.
So I want to cover today, like, just work and stuff, because what you're really known for and what you really blew up for was talking about, you know, stress and anxiety surrounding work. And I've had quite the experience. How many jobs have you had?
Oh, that's a great question. So I went to school to be a teacher, actually, which is weird.
Wow.
So, I know. Yeah. And then so I was a teacher, and then my friend recruited me to work at a startup. So that startup, another startup. I'm just a classic corporate millennial who loves startups. So I think in the past 10 years of my corporate career life, I've had 5 jobs.
Okay, I think I'm 5 too because I had 4 PR jobs, and then I guess this is my 5th.
Did you know the average lifespan for a millennial is 6 months at a job? Average. I mean, so that means that people are probably years, but then.
Do you know why I have such a hard time relating to the people that? Because we're both in our 30s now. I have a hard time relating to people that are in their 30s and they're still at their first job out of college.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, even if it's great, don't you want to color outside the lines a little bit?
Exactly.
Get out there.
Exactly. Well, I think that's the thing too, is a lot of those people, they know that they go to college, they know what they're going to be, and then they do that. Exactly that. They're like, well, I know I'm going to work as a consultant, and then they know the politics, and they know okay, well then if I start over, I'm going to miss out.
I also think it depends on the industry. Like if you work in finance, you're climbing a ladder.
Literally.
Whereas if you're in a creative field, you can kind of jump around and it doesn't matter.
I was in sales, so it literally you could start fresh and it just doesn't matter. You have 2 months of ramping up and then you're good to go.
100%. I wanted to share, I always tease that I'm going to write a book one day because I am. And it's going to be loosely based on my experiences working in PR. So I'm always hesitant to share my horror stories because I want them to be these moments.
Yeah.
But I think I'm comfortable sharing this one, even though it's one of the funnier ones. But I want to start off by sharing one of my horror stories when I was working. I was probably how old are you when you graduate college?
22.
22. Yeah. So I was probably 22, 23, probably 22 actually. First job out of college working at a really small boutique PR agency. And I got hired as the lifestyle assistant. So basically, they called it an assistant, which is rude because most other companies call it an associate or, they just straight savage assistant. That's how they were.
Which we're not assistant shaming.
No, but they were very hierarchical the way they moved.
They wanted you to feel low.
They wanted you to feel low.
So you would work harder to get somewhere. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So my first day on the job, I remember just being so confused because I was getting hired for my first PR role, but I was being treated like an office manager, which I didn't get because it was you've worked in startups. When it's a small environment like that, it's kind of all hands on deck, but they would make me take out the trash and
You were legit an assistant.
But all of there were assistants across the board, and all of us had to split the responsibilities of opening up the office, closing the office, turning on the lights, taking out the trash. So one day,
so if you didn't show up, someone's just sitting there working in the dark for you to turn on the lights.
Picture my surprise because I think I'm working in PR, and I'm what am I doing? Yeah. But also, it's your first job, so you don't know if it's normal or not.
They call it scut.
I'm does everyone do this on their first job?
I mean, I didn't have that experience, but I've heard of it.
It gets worse. Yeah. So one day I am sitting at my desk, I think, and one of the other assistants called me to this office where our closet lie. Yeah. And she's like, hey, it's jammed. Can you help me? So I'm trying to help her unjam it. We're literally sticking our fingers in the printer, pulling out paper, just trying for an hour to unjam the printer. And the CEO of the company walks by and I walk by and she's at her desk and she's like, Alyssa, what happened to my printer? And I was like, look, I'm sorry. I've been working on it all morning. Yeah,
I turned on the lights and then I was working on the printer. Yeah.
I've been working on it all morning, but I'm afraid I'm having trouble. I'm not sure. I think we might need to call someone to help. And she was like, go outside right now. I need to talk to you. So I'm like, what the fuck? So keep in mind, it's 13 people work in the office. So they see us walking outside. They close a paper thin door and she just rips into me. So everyone hears me.
About what?
It's just us separated by a little thin door. She's like, how dare you disrespect me in front of the entire office like that, telling me you can't fix it. No is not an answer. I need this fixed, blah, blah, blah. You're disrespecting me. And I was so taken aback. I was whoa. What? So I was I'm sorry if you took it that way, but I can't, I'm at a loss. I don't know how to fix it.
I didn't go to printer school.
Yeah, I'm not a printer tech.
Yeah. Printer tech.
And she was.
Don't imagine you. I'm here to fix your printer.
I was I'd ink covering my fingers. I was like, I've literally been jamming my hands into this thing all morning. I was like, I'm sorry. And she's like, I don't want to hear another word from you. So I like went back into the office.
What are you, your mom? You're like,
I had so much shame.
Yeah.
So I'm like sitting at my desk for the rest of the day and like everyone's just like staring at me. And I'm like, what did I even just get yelled at for?
It's not even the fact that you were being called an assistant, but then you got yelled at like you're an assistant. But that's not what you were.
Yeah, like I didn't even work directly for her.
Yeah.
Oh, that was my whole book is based on that job because it makes the Devil Wears Prada look low key.
Oh my God.
Oh, it was so bad. It was so bad.
Oh my God.
I could keep going, but I'll keep some secrets
My
to
anxiety
myself.
could never.
Okay,
I have had a bad boss though.
What's one of your experiences?
Okay. This is. You can stop me if this is like trigger warning. It's like it's actually really bad, and I think our CEO got in big trouble for it. So, the company I used to work for was a startup in Chicago, and like 300 employees in the sales team, massive, and we had all hands meetings, which I don't know if you know what an all hands meeting is.
It's like everyone, big company wide.
Exactly. And it's just like everything could be an email. Like literally, you could have just listed out everything, but it's like camaraderie, and we play an icebreaker at the beginning. It's like, oh my God, this is not kindergarten. I just want to go work with my headphones in. And the CEO gets up and just is same way, just like pompous, had favorites, and he was like, it was a job where we had to work client facing. And like we had to sell,
Oh no.
And it was like that. I was one of 5 guys at the company at the time as well. And the CEO was just reaming. He's like, no one wants to work with someone who looks like they haven't showered in days. No one wants to work with someone who doesn't know how to dress. And then he's like, no one wants to buy anything from someone who's overweight. Is what he said. Yep. To 300 women. So you could imagine. Couple weeks later, not to our surprise. So, and we were bought by a larger company at the time. I'm trying to keep everything so anonymous.
Yeah.
Right now. We were bought by a larger company at the time. So the larger company's like, we actually are just dissolving his role, and we're gonna,
you're out. Yeah. So, we will never see you again.
But he founded the company, so he definitely got some stock in it.
Oh my God, I would love to talk to Erica about this because this is what's so interesting, and she's not this way, which is why I'd feel comfortable talking to her about it. But I think my sister had so many like issues with like CEOs of companies and other people I know when you work in it, and same with me and the printer woman, she ran the company.
Yep.
And it's like when the most problematic person is the person on top, it's so hard because who do you go to?
Yep.
Because HR isn't going to have your back. Like it's such a toxic thing.
I've gone to HR. My thought about HR has changed completely because I don't know. I never had to report anything until recently. Something happened at a job where I had to report it, and then I'm like, and I'm like, great. Well, I just wanted someone to talk to anonymously. They go, oh, this isn't anonymous, and I was like,
yeah, like you think it's like a therapist or something. It's like I'm coming to you,
and that's what they paint it as.
Yeah,
at certain companies.
That's what I always thought.
So now
my
my advice is, whenever you start a meeting with HR, ask what is anonymous and what's not. And there's even one of my friends had a meeting with their HR, and they said that they asked if it could be anonymous, and they said no, so she just walked out. And just like, okay, well, we'll
I don't even understand like where you're supposed to go then in that situation, because my only thing was to leave because no one was gonna tell her what to do. Exactly. So I had to leave.
Yep.
And like that's kind of what happens.
Yeah.
It's so sad. It's such
crazy.
a weird like power dynamic.
Yeah. Oh my God. It was the whole room just like got quiet. Girls started crying because I think he said fat, ugly. No one wants to buy something from someone who's fat and ugly.
What a gross human.
His phrase or catchphrase that he would say to us, he's like, you should have 3 things that you're doing. And it was like, a sexy startup. We had a 50-foot bar. We were there till 8 p.m., and he's like, you should work out, and go out. That should be your life.
What a savage.
And I was like, and not me. I was like, I don't.
You're like, a new episode's on tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, exactly. Like, well, I'm going to go binge watch The Office for the 5th time. Yeah.
People there's so many like work dynamics that we could dive into. So you guys know I do my Sunday Scandies thing. So Rod asked his followers a few weeks ago, like a week or two ago, to submit anonymous work scandals. So we're going to go through some of them.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And kind of similar to what I do, but more PG, but having to do with work. And I do oftentimes get a lot of questions about stuff like this, but a lot of it's like, I'm sleeping with my CEO, or I'm this, or I'm that. And a lot of it's cheating. So sometimes I don't always post it, but like, let's dig into it. Yeah.
So many.
Some of them are like almost, I'm like, I can't.
You saw me when I was scrolling through them. You're like, oh.
Rod got like 5,000 responses.
Oh, this is a good one. They said, this girl said, worked for a famous luxury brand, girl fired for selling fakes online and posting them from the office.
So she's posting.
That's like so like
fake purses, although
from
she
the
works.
office. So they can like trace like the internet VPN. Like they probably were able to be like, oh, okay, yep, let's look into that.
Had you okay? Wait.
Yeah.
Let's have these spark questions because they're sparking memories in me that already.
Yeah.
I made one faux pas as an intern. Had you ever gotten in trouble for tweeting or like posting something online at a job that you weren't supposed to say?
Like from the jobs account?
Yeah, or like just while at work that they see that they're like, for example, if you're posting on your side hustle, like when you're doing TikTok, but you're still working full time, are they like, this is during work hours? Like, have you ever crossed that boundary? Because I have.
I started like my TikTok and all of that started like blowing up during pandemic. So when we were working from home, so they were like, are you working, Rod? You just put up a TikTok. And I was like, I filmed this last night. And then
it's in my drafts.
It's in my drafts. Meanwhile, I'm like spending all day filming.
Same, that's what I did.
So I never really got in trouble. There was there was just talk of like, what are you prioritizing here? But I didn't do anything too scandalous that would. There was, the company I was working for when I went viral was super supportive. They even talked about my TikToks during company meetings.
Like, this is what we should be doing.
My CEO bought a cameo from me to give to the
fun.
office. Yeah. So just really cool stuff.
That's cute.
Yeah.
I had one faux pas and I learned. I'm one of those people, I make a mistake and then I learn and then I never do it again. Yeah. And I was an intern at a fashion showroom. It was my first ever internship. I was like a sophomore in college. And it wasn't even a big deal, to be honest. They made it such a bigger deal, but fashion industry is just so bitchy. I tweet, like, it was during Twitter days, and I was like kind of big on Twitter at the time. And it was one of those things where I just would tweet whatever came to my mind. Yeah. And I said something thinking I was being like cheeky and funny. And I was like, when your office runs out of toilet paper and you need to run out and get it or something, you know?
Yeah. And why are your employees buying toilet paper?
Yeah. And the owner of the company reamed me out and was like, you're making us look bad. How dare you put something like this on a public platform? And they wouldn't talk to me the rest of the internship, this one woman. And I, to this day, like, that's not that bad. I didn't say anything. I wasn't like, oh, at X showroom.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything about the company.
I think legally then that's fine.
But I still got in so much trouble.
Yeah.
And from that point on, I learned, I'm like, you can't speak badly about the place you work. Like, you can't put anything out there. Here it's a little different because we like could post stuff, but it's a different environment. But that's what that sparked in me. Like, if you're doing something at work, you have to do it when you're home. And I crossed those lines too when I was blogging and working full time still.
Well, it's hard too because even this isn't posting, but kind of the same mindset. Even when I was working it wasn't a startup, it was a pretty established company, but it was definitely like work. Like, you work all day. It's like sales. You're there till sometimes like 9, 10 p.m. at night. So there was like one time, like, we were doing an event and we had wine and we had leftover wine. So we just all went in the back and like cheers to a glass of wine.
Yeah.
And it was like 8 p.m. at night. No one was around. And then we got in trouble because we were drinking on the job. I'm like, I started work at 9 a.m. and I'm here at 8 p.m. It's like, why can't I have a drink? But
yeah, it's really tough, especially with
like,
social media.
And like when you blur the lines of like, this was a total like, oh, we're all family thing, which is like a major red flag in the corporate industry. That we were like, it just, they blurred the lines so much that when that happened, I think they're like, oh shoot, we've like crossed the line.
We've crossed it too far. These people are like getting drunk.
Yeah.
Together.
Meanwhile, then my next startup that I worked for was like, yeah, why don't we beer 2 a.m.
I was gonna say, I feel like most companies encourage you to drink with your coworkers.
Exactly. So I don't know.
All right, let's read another one.
I have a good one. An exec replied to an email about a client to the client, which is just cringe.
Okay, an exec replied to an email about the client
to the client. So like was talking crap about the client.
I've had a boss do this. Yeah. Same first job. She again treated me like I was like her dog.
Alyssa, I feel like you've had a lot of bad experiences.
Oh, awful. So I remember she texted me one day and she was like, did you just get that email? And I was like, what email? Like, she was always like a fire.
Yeah.
And she's like, I sent an email to the client saying she's such a bitch about
You did tell me that.
She emailed to the client, meaning to forward it to someone else, being like, LOL, she's such a bitch.
Yep.
About the client, and
Oh my
sent
God.
it to the client. And she's like, but I'm on the subway and I don't know if it went through. And I was like, well, it didn't go through. Like, thank God she was on the subway and it didn't go through. But she literally called the client a bitch. Like,
oh my God.
this is
But
like
the client didn't see it.
The client didn't see it.
That's like that. Is there not a worse feeling?
But also,
of texting someone about someone. That's like that. That's what I like. My body. My skin
but this
crawls.
is when I say there's certain things you can't do, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
Like, don't even put it in email
Don't put it in
form
email.
because if you do the wrong thing by accident, that's bad.
Yeah. Speaking of communication, too, there's one that I saw that was like, got fired for Slack messages that I sent to my coworker, and people were like, "What? That's crazy! Like, they shouldn't be reading your Slack messages." Which Slack is like a chat platform.
AIM. Yeah.
Yeah, literally, it's like AIM. You send emojis and you
Like
put away
G-chat.
messages, literally. And I learned in my last job, it's like, no, when you sign on your company, you give them full access to your inbox and any communication.
It's company material.
It is. And most companies don't interject unless they feel there's a safety issue.
Yes.
Because you also want camaraderie around the office, and you want
You don't want
people
people
to
to
feel safe.
feel like you're spying on them.
Exactly. But that people were just like, oh my God. So you can like, tip for everyone out there, you can set most of those apps to 24 hours and then it'll delete everything.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's what a lot of people do.
I think, there is a big thing with like safety and you just really don't do anything on your work laptop. You just have to be careful. And it's that thing that comes with age, I think. I think you send the email to the client and then you learn and then you never do it again.
Exactly.
You know?
And that's that. People make mistakes and some are bigger than others, but that's what I learned is I always just would watch. I'm like, you know what? I'm done with work, but I'll watch TV on this. I'll watch Netflix on my work computer because it's not a big deal. But then I'm like, no, I need another computer just so I can like have work-life separation as well.
I totally agree. And sometimes like during like the holiday break, I took my work computer home and watched all my shows on that.
Yeah.
But like that's different. Like day to day, like this is my work laptop.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Get your own.
All right. This is a really good one. You ready? I think you're going to like this one. Okay. So it says, give me 1 second. My Vax card pulled up. Guy called in sick. Then the entire office in Pennsylvania saw him live on Insta at a Miami strip club.
What an idiot.
Like,
Like
that's like calling in sick and then like you're like at an amusement park.
I mean, let's be honest. We've all called in sick and not been sick.
Yeah.
But you don't. Those days that you're doing that, not to post.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Or go live. Like, why are you going live from a
That
strip
was the
club?
one thing I loved about working for myself.
Yeah.
I didn't have to answer to anyone. So I would just like be away doing whatever. And I was just like, oh, this is the life.
Literally. Yeah, just like separate from work.
Even, okay, can we talk about this though for a second? Like, why is there such a stigma around taking time off?
Because these, okay, you know I'm passionate about this.
Yeah, tell me all about it.
Actually, talked about it in my first podcast episode. I'm launching a podcast in a couple weeks. But it is crazy because we fantasize this startup culture, right? And it's like, and one of the big things that startups talk about is unlimited PTO, right?
We have that here.
Exactly. I have it had it at every company, and Barstool might be better, but it's just so, it sucks so much because I've taken PTO, my unlimited PTO, 4 days. And then 2 months later, I'm like, I'm going to take more. And like, well, you just took some 2 months ago. Where it's like, I would rather have the 16 days a year.
Interesting.
And be like, nope, I am actually legally taking what you offered me, this like allotted frame.
Oh, that's really interesting. It's different here, which I actually think it works here. But I see how with other companies that wouldn't work, that are more structured. If I don't come into work here, no one knows. Yeah. Because like I don't really report to
it's also very different for you.
talent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
My position's different.
Excuse me.
Not to, but
No, it's true because I kind of
even though we have PTO, like I can't take a day off.
Yeah, because you are working on all these
and
other
it affects
shows.
others. Yeah, exactly. That's my thing. Is like when I was in sales too. It's like if I take time off, I'm losing money because like I'm not getting commission.
Also, like Gia's editing and producing like 5 shows. So if you're not here,
exactly.
Who's gonna do it?
And it's like I can't find someone else to like cover for me or anything like that.
To do what you were hired for.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like
whereas for me, I could like record my episodes ahead of time.
Yeah.
So for me, I find it to be fine. I also really haven't taken many vacations since being here. I'll just do a long weekend and I don't even tell anyone because no one needs to know because my show's handled. I'm still producing content when I'm away.
Yeah.
But I've had issues in the past with like, when I was working in PR, I'd be like, oh, I want to go away in March, let's say. And they'd be like, well, we have a big campaign coming up. And I'm like, so when am I never going to be able to take time? Like, I think there should not be such a stigma around people being allowed to go on vacation.
That's the thing is like and then the my experience too is always, I was getting turned away from taking vacations, but then the manager was literally like every other month. I literally went to request time off from a manager. Like I've always worked in open workspace or whatever. So I like walked up. I'm like, hey, can I take vacation? You know, and on her computer, she's booking an Italian vacation for 2 weeks. And
that's the stigma too. They're going away.
Exactly. And she had just gotten back from the Caribbean like a week before. And I was like, hey, can I go see my grandma in Indiana for a weekend? You know? And she was like, oh, I'm sorry, you actually took PTO last month. And I'm like, what the heck? It's just like, it's almost just like a power trip. Everything's a power trip in
it's
corporate.
So crazy. Yeah. It's so, and also like look at people in Europe who have to take a mandatory month off or something, and they live such better lives. They don't understand why we work so much.
Yeah, exactly. This is a really funny one.
Okay.
A temp got fired and stole all the birthday cards from the reception desk.
What a random.
She's like, I think all these birthday cards.
I'm picturing someone just like sweeping it with 2 arms.
Oh my God. Oh, my manager used to eat everyone's lunch out of the fridge.
That's weird. Don't you think that's just really weird?
And it's also bogus. It's like, no, I packed this lunch.
But I think it's weird because like someone, I don't know if you guys feel this way or if this is just a me thing, but my leftovers slap. Someone else's disgusting. Oh, yeah. Like I don't want to like open your tinfoil and see your turkey sandwich.
Yeah, literally.
Like,
it's like
it grosses me out for some reason.
Meanwhile, like, you have like a whole pasta meal.
Yeah, but I just can't imagine like opening up someone else's like food. It just like weirds me the fuck out.
Oh my God. My manager asked me to lend him money. Turned out he had a gambling problem.
That's weird.
But that's, again, she probably worked in something that I worked at where it's just like, oh, we're comfortable with each other. I've lent my manager money. She's like, oh, I forgot money for lunch. Can I
had a boss once that was like, oh, I can't pay you this month.
When it comes to pay, that's different.
I stopped because I like was living paycheck to paycheck already.
You're like, bye.
I was making no money. I was like,
and that's just not a good sign. Like no matter the company, they should, like if you're going to have a company, you should be able to pay your employees on time.
I've had the worst experiences.
I'm like, you should write a book. Yeah, definitely write a book on your experiences.
I want it to be made into a show. That's like my dream. Because it's so wild. Like I'm not even scratching the surface.
Let's just have both of us be main characters. We could throw our ideas in.
Oh my God, please.
There's so many. I want to find a really good affair one because there's so many.
Yeah, a lot of people like sleeping with coworkers that are married, which I find it's kind of like
it's too married. I've had a lot of like too married coworkers sleeping with each other.
It like just makes me like I'm back in this place of being depressed, like because normally Sunday scandies don't get to me, but yesterday someone DM'd me about this notable guy cheating on his wife, who like we all know, I'm not going to say obviously, and it just like made me go down a spiral of being like, no one's like faithful. It makes me so depressed. Like even the good ones are not good.
It's scary.
It's scary.
It's so scary.
Oh my God.
Like if my husband cheats on me with someone he's working with, I will chop his balls off. I want that on record.
Just like cheating in general, like come on.
But like you have to, like work is supposed to be the safe space. Like okay, I know my husband's going to work and then he comes home.
Yeah.
But if they're cheating at work,
and you spend so much time there,
and that I do see how it could happen though. Like if you're traveling and you're with someone all the time, I see how like an emotional affair could happen because you're with this person more than your spouse likely or partner. But okay, find us a good one.
Guy used his biz Amex at the strip club and had to make a PPT on why he shouldn't be fired.
So you had to make a PowerPoint on why you shouldn't be fired.
Oh my gosh, making a deck about why you shouldn't be fired.
That reminds me of Hustlers.
Yeah.
Oh, I never saw.
I didn't see that either.
It's so good.
Oh my God, another one. A separate person. Someone expends $2,500 at a strip club on his corporate card.
People have like stripping and gambling addictions.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
I was such a wuss with my company card because I hate doing expenses that like I never used to sneak things, but people would sneak like crazy shit.
This one says Dave Ramsey came into my restaurant and his card was declined.
No, my card got declined the other night and I was so embarrassed.
There is nothing
but
more
Dave Ramsey's card? Dave Ramsey?
No, but I'll tell you what happened with me. So we were at the Brooklyn Nets and Oklahoma City Thunder basketball game, and I was with all my coworkers. So I was like, I'll just pick up the tabs all night and Venmo you guys at the end. So I did like a $400 charge, a $500 charge, a $600. Like I just kept like going, and finally by like the last one at like 2 a.m., my credit card company, I get a text, fraud alert. But I didn't see the text. The guy walked over and he's like, "Ma'am, do you have another card?" And I was like in front of everyone.
Is that for all of the tabs at once? Or
No, it was just, I think by like the 5th time, my card was like, someone might be using, the company was like, someone's using your card in Brooklyn.
Alyssa, you've never been to a basketball game before.
They were like, suspicious behavior.
Suspicious behavior, Alyssa, at a sports game.
But I said to my coworkers, I was like, I'm so embarrassed.
It's
like,
so embarrassing. And whoever's like taking your card always has to like make a big deal out of it. They're like,
Yeah.
this is declined.
Yeah, do you
like
have
it's
another?
not going through. You're like, all right, you don't have to scream.
Because they're so mad about their lives already, probably rightfully so, because people are so mean. But then they're probably like, "Yes, I have one vengeance for the
so
day."
embarrassed. I was like,
"Oh my god." Coworker, I work at a hospital. Coworker got fired for stealing meds.
That's a bad one. Someone told me last night that in my Sunday Scandies, that they slept with someone and she had just gotten surgery and the guy stole her pills.
I remember reading that one.
Oh my god.
That reminds me. That like gives me like euphoria.
She DM'd me.
Like,
She goes, "I'm still sleeping with him though."
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Well, so this one says, "I accidentally sent my resume to my boss."
That's bad.
That's bad.
That's really bad.
There's nothing like, you always know. It's so funny, especially like working from home, when someone is like, you're all on a Zoom call and everyone's in like sweats or just like a t-shirt, and then someone's in like a blazer and a button up, and you're just like,
Wait.
I'm like, everyone's like,
That's a
what are
good
you doing?
topic.
Yeah.
Okay, how about this? When you're in an office job and you have to interview.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, how many doctor's appointments could you go to?
How many
Second of all,
times have you hair done?
Yeah, like I would come in, I would change, I would go through great lengths. I would find like a Starbucks.
Especially with the people you worked for, they're probably,
Yeah, oh my God. Because if I came in, I worked in a casual environment. We would wear like wedges and leggings and like whatever, sweaters. So if I came in like black and white suit, they'd be like, "This is weird."
What you doing? Yeah.
So I would try to find like a public restroom in the city and like change before and after, which is really hard to do.
Oh yeah.
And
That could be an episode alone.
oh my God, it's
a show.
crazy. Yeah. Did you do men deal with that or no?
I've dealt with like, you have to come up with the reason why you're not working.
Yeah.
For sure. It's like, oh, I'm sick, or but I think
I have a doctor's appointment in New Jersey,
Yeah.
I would say, because
Yeah.
I live.
Oh,
so
yeah.
then it would factor in like the time to get to and from New Jersey.
I would definitely use my parents as
Yeah.
or I would just use a vacation day, make it a long weekend. I always plan on like a Friday.
Oh, that's
I'd
smart.
be like, hey, I can take a long weekend, and then do that.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that was like the PTSD of that
Yeah,
all.
exactly.
Okay, let's read the Ask Alyssas.
Great.
They're work related, so there's 2 today.
Great.
So this one said, obviously had to ask a work advice question for the 2 baddest #work bosses.
We're work bosses. I wish I was a girl boss.
I'm 28 and the pandemic has really changed my work plans. I was on track for a promotion at the last place I worked, but when COVID hit, my location got shut down and I had to start over at a different location. However, I do feel like everything happens for a reason, and now I feel like I'm finally in a place where things are going well. The only thing that I would like is a higher position than I am and feel like I'm more qualified, but not pushing because my company is still struggling from the pandemic. However, I've been covering duties of a position above me while my coworker is on parental leave, and I have been told by the team he typically manages what I've been doing. Wait, sorry, it doesn't really make sense. She's been told that she does a better job than this person.
But she's still in her old role.
Yeah. This guy I've been covering will be back from paternity leave soon, and I don't want to throw him under the bus, but how do I ask for his job or a comparable job without doing so? It would be at least a $20,000 raise, and I've been living at home with my parents since I graduated college, trying to buy a house of my own.
I think what's hard about this one is, first of all, especially right now, are we giving advice? Is that what we're doing?
What?
Are we giving advice?
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting because it's such a hot topic of doing things outside of your job description. Again, I've worked for startups, and one of the biggest things they say they're looking for in a startup employee is someone who wears many hats, right?
Of course. Oh my God, that phrase
But
gives
then
me trauma.
Exactly. But then what that means is you're going to be doing things outside of your job description.
Yes, you're right.
So I think for this person, I would say now rather than later, especially before he comes back, I would just be like, sorry, I'm not comfortable. That's not my job description. And then I know you have stated this, and she should even get like screenshots or something just to have on file for herself. But she'd be like, I know you have said this, that I'm better than the
XYZ,
person.
yeah.
So if you are interested in promoting me, I'd be more than happy to continue with those roles. But for now, I'm just going to stick to my job that I currently have.
Yeah, or that, and I would take the approach of, I've been filling in this role for so-and-so for the last however long, and feel like I haven't skipped a beat. Like, even though I'm working above my level, I feel completely qualified for it, and I've had no trouble doing it, and I would love to be compensated for the level at which I should be operating.
Yeah.
Or a title raise, some kind of just acknowledgement.
Acknowledgement's it. Yep, exactly it. And I think too, it's again, it needs to happen before this other person comes back. Otherwise, it's like, well, he's back. We're back. Yep.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And really, if nothing does, if they stay in their current situation, nothing happens, make sure that they know they aren't going to continue doing his responsibilities when he returns.
Yeah. It's like, look, I was happy to pick up the slack, but if this, if I'm expected to keep stepping into this role, I either need to be compensated
or
or
need a title change.
Oh, that's tough though, because it's like,
but you don't want to, and it sucks because that's a toxic environment as well. But usually it's a bad look. It's like,
well, it's also like, how do you just be like, oh no, I'm not doing this when it needs to get done and you're the only person that could do it? Ask Alyssa. I've been at my corporate job for over 6 years and I'm pretty miserable. I'm at the point where I should be moving to the next level, but I honestly don't want to. Wait, I don't get that. It would be a higher visibility role, and I'm more of a behind-the-scenes type of person. The thought of applying for another job, even in my current company, literally gives me heart palpitations. I also don't actually know what I want to do, so that makes it even harder. I have a good salary, benefits, and tons of vacation days, so I'm hesitant to potentially give that up. I also make significantly more money than my boyfriend. That's a whole other story. So I don't feel like I could, quote, follow my dreams, per se, when I'm pretty much the breadwinner. Help. Wow, there's a lot to unpack here.
I was like, oh, I'll talk about. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I feel like I was like.
First of all, especially if she already has stress, and anxiety from applying for jobs, probably has anxiety about other things, but you can't carry that burden of being the breadwinner. That's fair. That's going to make your life miserable. At the end of the day, you have to survive. But at the end of the day, you have to also do what's going to make you happy. And if there's anything I've learned this past year, it's you are never too old to make a career change.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. But I don't think that's a lot of pressure to carry. And I'm sorry that person has to carry that pressure. But I feel like that's not an excuse to be happier in your current career.
And this is how I feel. I really have always had this stance. I was kind of saying this earlier. You've been there for 6 years. You're saying you're miserable. I don't care if you have good salary and good vacation days. You could find that somewhere else and be happier. I always say this, people are like, I hate it, I'm miserable, but this is why I'm staying. It's like
security, safety.
Yeah, I get that, but no, because you could go. How do you know if you're not even interviewing? Interview for another job. Maybe they offer higher salary because you're obviously going to get a bump if you're switching. Maybe you'll get a better salary, more vacation days. You can negotiate these things and you're not going to be freaking miserable. It's like, why prolong the process just because you're scared? Literally. Is how I feel.
Yeah. I think too, it's kind of like hard to break up with someone in a toxic relationship, right? And I view it the same way with the job. Because if you're going to have a hard time, approaching them, there's all the steps you have to go. You have to think about what you're going to say to your boss. And then usually there's two different people you have to talk to. You have to talk to a preliminary person. And especially if she's this desired at the company, someone else is going to try to step in. There was one company that I told them I was quitting, and I didn't make up a lie, but I did make up I just made it a lot more vanilla than what I should have just said. I'm not happy here, but I was so scared because we were a family, you know, that I was like terrified to let them
yeah.
know. Yeah. And so then they literally, 4 directors who weren't even my directors pulled me in a room like, Rod, you can't leave. We need you here. We'll do whatever it takes. You can work from home. And this is like pre-pandemic. I'm like, it's not about, I'm like, they were saying all these things that I'm like, you could tell that they were trying to get me to stay. So it's just like, if you are that unhappy, you just need to power through, understand your worth and your value. And
no
like
matter
you said,
what they're trying.
If she's in this position and she's making good money and she's feeling happy with her career path, at least, or like what she's currently doing, but not at the company, she should definitely look somewhere else because she could probably get.
And it sounds like she's not even happy with her career path, but maybe you'll like what you're doing more if you're in an environment that makes you happier.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I just don't believe in staying because it pays well.
Yep.
I think you could apply, and I think you can make the same money, if not more, anywhere.
Exactly. Because what I've learned too is you're going to end up spending the money that you're making more on things that'll kind of balance the happiness.
Fill the void.
Yeah. Exactly.
I one time quit a job, and same thing kind of, where my boss was like, what are they paying you? And it was like $15,000 more, like something a lot, you know? And she was like, we'll match it. And I'm like, you had all this to offer this whole time.
Well,
and now that I'm walking out the door, you want to give this to me?
Yeah.
So I was like, no. Because at that point, like you said, you know you're not happy there.
And you just feel like a dollar sign at that point.
And then you also kind of feel like, why am I going to stay when you know I was just trying to quit? Like, this is awkward.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, you're not going to trust me, you know?
No, now you know I'm not happy.
Yeah,
it's so awkward.
Exactly.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Rod, for giving some advice and talking to me about work. Where you have a podcast launching. By the time this episode comes out, it might be out. So
it should be, which I'm excited for. Yep. It's called Millennial Made. TBD on days yet. I mean, I'll have more information once this launches. But yeah, 20-minute episodes talking about millennial culture, nostalgia, all the fun stuff that I talk about on the channel. Work anxiety guests every episode. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And you can follow him on Instagram, TikTok. Tell them all of that.
Yep. Rod on TikTok, justme.rod on Instagram, and then YouTube channel to come. Alyssa is actually one of my first guests as well, so you'll see her.
We actually talk about work and stuff.
We talk about work. We talk about PR a lot. Yeah, it was a really fun episode.
That was really fun.
Yep.
I like when I could put my PR hat on and talk about that.
Many
stuff.
hats.
Yeah. My many hat. One of my many hats. Wait, that's a funny podcast name. Many hats.
Many hats. Oh my god. Yeah. Let's just like have our own podcast.
Yeah, that's so cute. Many hats.
I was thinking when we were filming, like you and I could totally have a podcast.
Oh yeah, we could talk for days.
Yeah, we could talk for days. Yeah.
Well, maybe you'll be in New York one day soon.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get Rod to move here. All right, guys. Thank you. I'll see you soon, Rod.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Let's spill the tea. So, I watched Pam and Tommy. Have you seen it?
No.
It's good.
I know.
I feel uncomfortable about it in a sense. So first of all, it's really interesting to me that you could just create a show using someone else's likeness without their approval. Like picture someone making a show, aka or like documentary or something about your life, and you can't control the narrative and you have no idea how they're portraying you or if it's accurate or not. So part of me feels like it's like a little icky or something. And especially because there's so much nudity in it. I feel like in the last few weeks, I've seen more penises on screen than ever before. Between Euphoria, there was something else. And now Pam and Tommy, there was like literally a talking penis.
There's a lot of nudity in Pam and Tommy?
Full penis.
Oh, wow.
The whole like full boobs, like everything. I'm like, when did it...
Euphoria's starting a trend.
Everyone's doing it.
showing the penises.
But you know what I don't like? They do prosthetic penises, all these shows. And it's like, we have to put our real boobs out there. Yeah. Show us what you're working with.
I know. I saw that clip of whoever plays Cal Jacobs who's saying how like his penis is prosthetic.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not fair. It seems like it's not fair. Because like they're trying to make it this thing like, oh, like we should normalize
nudity.
Nudity, and we show women's naked bodies all the time. So it's like, why can't we show men's? But it's like, well, show us the real body.
Yeah, like, what are you, embarrassed?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're embarrassed too, let me tell
you.
So Pam and Tommy's really wild. I don't love the person they casted for Tommy because I think...
Oh, Sebastian Stan?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I think the real Tommy in his heyday was more attractive than the actors portraying it.
Oh, that's a hot take.
Okay, well, could I say this though?
Yeah.
The actor not in Tommy Glam is very attractive.
Yeah.
Because I saw a picture of him not dressed like
Sebastian
Tommy.
Stan is so hot.
Yeah, and I was like, damn,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know those were the same people.
Yeah.
It's just like, I just don't, looks-wise, he doesn't fit the character to me. That's all.
I get that. Well, also, like, isn't Tommy, like, super tall and skinny? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the whole...
Like, MGK in The Dirt was a perfect Tommy Lee, I felt
Yes. Like, the casting feels a little off to me.
Yeah.
Pam, unreal. Even she's using prosthetic boobs, apparently. Which are so realistic.
Forgetting her real name.
Lily James.
Lily James, yeah.
She's stunning. She looks just like her. I totally understand why Pamela Anderson was such a heartthrob, because looking at Lily James, I'm like, of course men were going crazy over this woman. Like, she's so hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good watch. A little, like I said, it feels a little invasive because this is actually something that happened to them.
Yeah, and I read that Pamela Anderson was, like, not happy about the whole thing.
She said it was like the most traumatic time in her life.
Yeah.
And now we all are watching it for our enjoyment.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It does feel, something about this one feels a little icky.
Totally.
I watched Real Housewives of New Jersey. It's back. I thought the women were being really bitchy towards Jennifer and saying that her nose looked bad. I don't know. It was just catty. Like, it's just catty. It's mean. She was still healing. I thought Marge bringing up what's her name? Am I there? Is anyone home? Marge bringing up Bill Aiden cheating, I thought was aggressive, especially for episode 1, way to open things up. I think we're going to see a lot play out with Teresa and her boyfriend and the video of him. And I think there's a lot that's going to be uncovered there. And it's going to be a crazy season. Jersey girls, they know how to do it. I have been watching Celebrity Big Brother. I had no plans on watching Celebrity Big Brother, but when I was sick yesterday, I was like, why not throw it on? First of all, I'm obsessed. Like, I didn't even think I would be interested in this show. I love Lamar Odom. I feel like
he's on Celebrity Big Brother?
Yes, with Shanna Moakler, Travis Barker's ex-wife.
Interesting.
And Cynthia Bailey from The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Teddy Mellencamp. Who else? The guy from Night at Roxbury. Like, there's just so many people, and it's really, really wild to see all of these celebrities interact in this setting. I actually like it better than The Real Big Brother. Like, it's really fun to watch. So if you guys just need a really lighthearted show and you want to watch adults act like animals, then you should watch it. Okay, the final 2. Tinder Swindler. Did you watch it?
No. I have only seen like one 30-second promo clip on TikTok. I have no idea what it's about.
Okay, I'll say what it's about because it's not really spoilers because it's fact. It's like they say it within the first 5 minutes.
Is it like a documentary?
Yeah, it's kind of like a documentary style documentary, I guess. And they are basically talking about this guy who is using Tinder to meet women and posing as a really rich heir and then somehow swindling them into giving him money because he's coming across so rich that they believe he's rich. So when he's like, hey, my credit card got shut down, could I borrow you? I'm good for it. I'll pay you back tomorrow. They give him the money because they're like, well, he flies me private and he takes me everywhere. The least I could do is loan him money because he's so generous. So that's how he's like doing it.
Okay.
And he's having all these women fund his lifestyle. And it's just, you just have to watch it. Like, I won't say anything about the ending but it is so crazy. And it reminded me a lot of, the narcissist that I always talk about because he similarly had like a lineup of women that were like, I think one of the girls told me she was sending him gifts and giving him money. And like, it's so scary that there's people out here like that. And I think I'm really want to get a narcissist specialist on the podcast, because I think there's signs that you could look out for, like love bombing and someone that's coming on too strong and presenting themselves as this perfect person. There's a lot that we really could look out for. So I probably will get someone on to talk about that, because shit got crazy. And then lastly, Euphoria. Oh man. I was almost, I'm trying to think, like, I was so used to the episode following around so many different storylines, and how we were saying last week how we liked it when it was one storyline. I was expecting it to switch, and it just never kept switching. And in my head I was like, how much more shit could Rue get into? Like, this is getting out of hand. And I think the scene of her fighting with her mom.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so realistic, because like I've definitely thrown a tantrum like this. Not to that extent of like pushing stuff, but like, you know, when you just lose it and you're like, ah! And she was just like so unbelievable, the way she was like playing with their emotions, like being super radioactive,
like, yeah.
And then being like, I'm sorry.
That's
I'm
what
sorry.
happens when you're withdrawing, like your emotion, and when you're an addict, like you can't control your emotions at all, so you have like intense mood swings. And when you're withdrawing like that, like you will do anything to like manipulate people into giving you what you want. And you can tell like how she goes from being so intensely angry to like
so manipulative.
Crying, like, yeah, it's just like, yeah, it was wild.
I was actually really happy they showed her stealing and stuff, because that's the behavior of an addict.
Yeah, like she's going to the most insane length just to get like a quick fix. And yeah, it was just like watching it was like not painful, but it was kind of just like, wow, like you kind of get like a better understanding of like how desperate someone becomes, you know? And it's like, when you know someone that's an addict or something like that, and you hear something about them that they did something really bad, blah, 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 and you're like judging them for what they did, it's like you don't understand, like, to them, lengths. That's like the one thing that they need in life.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and she's going through this like insane pain, insane withdrawal, so it's like,
I give them credit for really like displaying that.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of other shows have shown it that well.
Yeah.
And I think that Zendaya is an amazing actress.
Oh yeah, she killed it last night.
She absolutely killed it. I think even her manipulating Cassie in that moment when she took the attention off of herself.
Yeah.
To make it about Nate and Cassie so she could exit.
Exactly.
She knew exactly what she was doing there.
That was so fucked up. I literally, like, I gasped like this.
But also, Cassie she took so long. I would have been like, you guys are trusting her?
Yeah.
Like, she had such an easy out.
She did not handle that well at all. Like, she immediately started to cry. She didn't say anything. Like, but you're setting yourself up for failure.
I love how everyone's like, okay, Maddie, it's not about you right now. And she's like, hell yes, it's about me right now.
Yeah, that was funny. Like, I expected Maddie to honestly punch her in the face or something.
Yeah, be worse.
Yeah.
So Euphoria is getting really, really good now. I think just like, it's a great show. It's one of my top shows right now that I'm really enjoying. And I still have never caught up on The Bachelor, and I don't think I'm going to at this point. I'm sorry, guys. I've given up. I don't care. It's done for me. It's done.
I don't blame you.
I've never wanted to be that person, and I'm that person. And maybe I'll be back. I think I'll probably watch Paradise, but I needed to take a break, and I did, and I'm happy about it. And then, Kylie Jenner had her baby. I don't really feel like there's any breaking news there other than the fact that Blue Heart, aka it's a boy. I don't get why people are looking at that post with the blue heart being like, is it a boy or a girl? It's like, she's telling you.
Yes, agreed.
Everyone's still like, I'm not sure. I'm like, guys, she literally told you it's a boy.
Yeah.
And then I think Kris Jenner commented like, love my nephew or my grandson. So it's a boy. No news there other than the baby has the coolest birthday ever. 2222. I mean,
yeah, that is just insane.
So that's it for this week's episode. I hope even with my on my little sick stomach, I was able to entertain you guys. And stay tuned for next week and the weeks following because I've sick guests booked. I'm so excited. You guys are going to die. We have some really exciting stuff coming up. So I will talk to you guys next Tuesday.